Good morning, everyone. I hope everyone is having a fantastic day and that you enjoyed your weekend. Thank you very much for joining on this induction. Very, very excited to begin this whole process with you, to get to know you and to meet you, etc., etc. I can just ask everyone to please just mute yourselves, just so that it will prevent additional noises while joining. So please mute yourselves. Thank you very much. Okay. We'll just wait 1 or 2 seconds for you to mute yourselves. Great.
Sorry?
Thank you very much. Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, my name is David Levine. And sorry, guys, I just need everyone to mute themselves before we begin. All right, that's it. Okay. My name is David Levine, and I'm with Sakhisisizwe Training and Construction Projects. We are very, very excited to begin this learnership program with you. And it is a very, very exciting program. And from what we hear, you are a fantastic group. So there are a lot of us here together. There are many more people that are not here. And we're still waiting for more people to join. I'm not sure. There should be something like 59 people. So we are waiting for the balance of people to come in. However, I think because of the time that we are currently at, we should get started at least and then catch them up later. So I'd just like to introduce myself, David Levine. We are going to move to our very own Mpho, who is our top facilitator and trainer. He's going to perform the induction to just explain the process of what it is that we are doing and how it works, etc. All the interesting details, so that you guys know a little bit more about what it is that we are doing. I'm sure you have a lot of questions, and we will be happy to address that and to give you a little bit of clarity. But what I would like to just say before Mpho does get going is that, you know, we want to make sure that this process that we are going to go through together, we're going to learn together, we're going to learn new skills and a lot of fascinating things, a lot about marketing that we're going to see soon. And that is that we want you to enjoy the process. A lot of the time, learning is an opportunity it's an incredible opportunity to engage your future and to open doors that you would not have been able to do otherwise. You know, everyone knows the importance of education. That's what Mandela used to talk about all the time, about education is really everything. And that is what we believe at Sakhisisizwe. So please make sure that you use this opportunity. It's a golden opportunity. You have a fantastic team that you're going to be working with. And we really want you to enjoy the process, to learn. And remember that what you put in is what you are going to get out. So it is wonderful to meet you all. We're very excited to get to know you. And without further ado, I'd like to hand over to Mpho, who is now going to take you through the process. Thank you very much.
Thank you, David, for giving me this wonderful opportunity. My name is Mpho Chitlangu. I work for Sakhisisizwe Construction and Project as the project manager. I will be doing induction for the program that you were enrolled in. So I won't take much of your time. I'll just do a brief presentation. If you do have any questions, you are welcome to jot them down, and then you can ask me those questions after my presentation. I'm not so sure if I'm audible enough for everyone.
Now we can hear you perfectly.
All right, thank you. So first of all, I would like to introduce our organization. A project manager, so I'll only be doing the induction. So it is with great pleasure that we welcome you to the most exciting development stage of your career. As Sakhisisizwe would like to congratulate you for being identified and selected to participate in this learning and assessment intervention program. We hope that you are going to have fun with during the time that you're going to spend with us, and also the knowledge and the skills that you will gain during the process of learning. You also share it with others. So as Sakhisisizwe team, we are saying keep learning. So we are a registered organization. You can see our registration number there on the screen. And we are also accredited. That simply means upon successful completion of your learning intervention, you're going to receive a national recognized qualification, which is recognized throughout the whole of South Africa. That is our website, www.sakhisisizwe.co.za. And our motto is we are building through empowered education. The overview, just to give you a brief overview, why are we doing this? So this is all about the skills development legislative environment. So our government have realized that we do have a lot of people in the working sector that don't have a qualification of what they are doing. For example, you can think of someone who is very good in sewing, or someone who is very good in fixing certain brand of car, and that person never went to school, or that person didn't even get an opportunity to get a qualification towards what he's specializing in. So that simply means that that individual will not be able to gain employment in a reputable company only because that person doesn't have the qualification. So the main aim of this is to bridge the skills gap in the working sector. So through the Department of Labor, so it has been the law has been instituted through the Skills Development, which is Skills Development Act, which abide all companies or all working individuals to contribute towards the skills fund, of which that amount or whatever that is being accumulated there will be used in order to bridge the skills gap in the working sector. So whatever that is being contributed or accumulated, it's the very same funds that funds what we call the Sector Education and Training Authority, also known as the SETA, or also known as the EQTA, which is the Education Training and Quality Assurance Bodies. So in South Africa, we had about 22 education and training quality assurance bodies. So in other words, why do we have so many? It's because in each and every sector, each and every industry, we do have EQTA body which represent that particular sector. For example, for those who deals with health matters, they do have their own EQTA body, which is health and welfare. Those who deals with chemical, they do have their own, which is chemical EQTA, and so on and on. So whatever, or either you are rendering a service, so they do have their own, which is service EQTA. So through the EQTA bodies, so they realize that they will not be able to do that without awarding a national recognized qualification. So for them to be able to do that, they have to partner or work hand in hand with the Department of Education. So that's why now we see the South African Qualification Authority Act. So the main mandate of South African Qualification Authority, or also known as the SAQA, is to oversee the content of whatsoever it's in the learning sector, that it is still in line in addressing or meeting the necessary skills or imparting the necessary knowledge which is required in the working sector. So each and every learning program is given a maximum of 5 years to make that difference. So if it's not making that necessary difference, and then the South African Qualification Authority, they can decide to terminate that particular program. So you can bear with me that there are certain degrees or diplomas that were there before that were no longer there, that have been scrapped out because of they are no longer addressing issues which are currently happening in the moment. So under South African Qualification Authority, we have the National Qualification Framework. So I will talk more about the National Qualification Framework in my next slide. But under this National Qualification Framework, which is subdivided into 10 level of bands, so I will not go much into detail on that. Your facilitator will take you through that. But under the National Qualification Framework, is subdivided into 3 categories. So the first category, we have the General Education and Training, also known as the GET, which is being monitored by Lucy. So that is from grade R up to grade 12. So we also have the Further Education and Training, or FET, which is normally rendered or offered in colleges, either the public or the private colleges. And also, we also have the HET, which is Higher Education and Training, which is normally offered at the university levels. So in each and every qualification, or each and every module, or each and every unit standard, it falls under a certain level of band. That was those 10 that I was referring to. And then after successful completion of your learning intervention, so your assignments, they will go through the quality assurance. When they go through the quality assurance, is just to check if you have meet the minimum requirements as per South African Qualification Authority. If you do meet those minimum requirements, we're going to be awarded a national recognized qualification in a form of an accreditation, which will be the certificate. And though that certificate, it will go to the providers or the moderators or the assessors. The providers, they're talking about people like us as Sakhisisizwe. We are provided because we are providing that education to you guys. And then we'll hand that to the respective individuals. The National Qualification Framework, or the NQF. So N stands for national, which means this is done throughout the whole of South Africa, the whole of our country. And qualification, this is the recognition of meeting a set of learning requirements. And the framework, this is the grid on which the standards and the qualification are being registered. So records of each and every candidate's achievement will also be registered, so that the knowledge, the skills of each of you, it will be recognized throughout the country. So these records, they will be recorded in what we call the National Learner Registration Database, or the NLRD. The unit standards. So the unit standards here is like the subjects that made up the qualification that you have been enrolled in. So here we call them the unit standards. So these are the building blocks for a qualification. So they are the smallest unit, or they can be part that can be credited. They can stand alone, or be part of the cluster or a module, or be part of a qualification. So which means the unit standard can stand alone, can be part of the module or a cluster, with which they will be grouped together, or they can be grouped together as a whole to formulate a qualification. For example, in school, all those subjects that you have studied, they're being grouped together. If they will say, if you fail the minimum of 3 or 4 or whatsoever the structure might be, you cannot proceed to the next grade. So the same applies. So the unit standards, it will tell the assessor. So the assessor, this is the person who will be marking all your assignments when you submit them to us. So you tell the assessor the basis for the skills to be assessed, and also tells you what to expect during the assessment. And this unit standard is subdivided into 3 components. So the first component is the outcome. The second component is the assessment criteria. The third component is the range. So on the outcomes, it will state the action, the knowledge, or the skills that we have to demonstrate by the end of the learning experience. And the assessment criteria, it will indicate the quality of your performance in each and every outcome. So the assessment criteria will determine if you have met an outcome or you haven't met an outcome. In other words, the assessment criteria derives from the outcomes. And lastly, we have the range. So the range will tell the assessor the different types of condition of assessment to say what is required in this assignment. Are you required to answer it orally? Are you required to write a test? Are you required to go and conduct your research? Are you required to do a case study or a role play? So those are the different ranges of the conditions of assessment, which shows how are you going to be assessed in that particular assessment criterion. So the design of the learning intervention. So like I said, like David said there, when during the introduction, we have the qualification there, which is marketing that you have enrolled on. And then, like I said, all qualifications are made up of the unit standards. So there we find our unit standards there. And this unit standard, they're subdivided into 3 components, of which we have the fundamental, the core, as well as the elective component of the qualification. All unit standards or modules that falls under the fundamental component of the qualification, they are all compulsory. But if you are in possession with a national recognized qualification, which is equivalent or higher than the level that you have enrolled in, you will be exempted from completing the fundamental component of the qualification. So we also have the core. So the core, they form part of the central learning of the qualification. And lastly, we have the elective. So the elective component, this will be your area of specialty. Can you all please mute our mics because I'm hearing a feedback. Thank you. So bringing all this together, that's where we... David, are you able to mute everyone? Because I'm getting a feedback from Galaxy, Edwin, and Ronnie. Edwin, can you please mute your mic? Ronnie, can you please mute your mic, please? All right, let's proceed. And bringing all this together, that's why we formulate a training program or the learning intervention. David, can you please mute those guys? Because the feedback I'm getting here is...
Sure, perfect.
So bringing all those 3 components
Mpho, you're currently muted. We can't hear you.
All right, can you hear me now?
Yes.
All right, thank you. So I was still saying this learning intervention is a structured process for gaining theoretical knowledge and practical skills in the workplace, which will lead to a qualification which is registered on the National Qualification Framework. So you're going to learn both on and off the job to obtain a qualification, which include the necessary work experience. So on successful completion of the learning intervention, you will be certificated by the relevant EQTA body or the Education and Training Quality Assurance Body. So this will be a national recognized qualification. And what are the benefits of this? Number one, you will receive a national recognized qualification from the relevant EQTA body upon successful completion of the learning intervention. So you will gain work experience that will improve your employability chances. The work experience that you gain during the learning intervention can assist you to set up your own small business. And you can also gain the links in the employment network, increasing your chances to find work. You can also earn a promotion or be redeployed into a more satisfying job. So you can progress to a higher level of leadership for personal growth as well as personal development. So this learning intervention must be related to your occupation, and it must consist of the structured learning component, which is a theory, as well as the practical work experience, which is the practical component. So the theory or the structured learning component only carries 30% of the work that you will do. That's when you will be meeting your facilitator or your teacher. And the practical or the workplace component will be consisting of the balance of 70%. So that's why I said in my previous slide, this is outcome based. Are you able to put into practice what you have learned during your sessions? And all this you have to lead to a qualification. So your duties include the following: to work for the employer as part of the learning process, be available for and participate in all learning and work experience required by the learning intervention, to comply with the workplace policies and procedures, complete any timesheets or any written assessments tools supplied by the employer to record relevant workplace experience, to attend all study periods in theoretical learning sessions with the training provider as well as with your employer. So your role include the following: learning in the workplace. It means that you are learning new skills and knowledge as part of your everyday work. It is your responsibility, no one else. It is your responsibility to be an active learner, to use every opportunity to listen, to read, participate, observe, ask questions, and keep up-to-date records of your achievements. Your facilitator, your supervisor, your friends, your colleagues, your manager, and whoever will provide, they will provide you with the necessary support and encouragement that you will need during the process of learning. However, they are not the ones that are learning, you are. So it is your responsibility to take your learning seriously. You are right. They include the following: to be educated and trained, to receive a training in a suitable and accessible environment, not to be discriminated against, to be treated in a dignified manner, to have access to the required resources during the learning intervention, to have your performance in training assessed and have access to those results of your assessments, and lastly, to receive a certificate upon successful completion of your learning intervention. So the key word there is successful. If you complete it, you don't complete it successfully, so you will not be able to receive your national recognized qualification. The tips that I can provide you with You have to work steadily through your workbooks. Always ask for help as soon as you need it. Don't wait for the 11th hour. Ask questions if you're not sure of anything. Learn to identify the tasks that you do that can be part of your evidence. Regularly gather and file your evidence as required or as been requested by your facilitator. Contact us if you would like to discuss any aspect of your work or if you don't understand anything. So you don't wait for the next session. So you can contact us anytime if you need clarity of anything. The stipend. So these are the monies that are paid to the learner by the company or the sitter, for example. This money is used for transport, etc., to enable you to get to the training venue. So it's only for unemployed learners only. So those who are employed, they will continue to get their usual salary as they is agreed in their employment contract. The assessment and moderation of unit standard in the National Qualification Framework. On the assignment that you will be required to complete or assessments, you'll be either deemed competent or not yet competent. So competent simply means that you can proceed to the next unit standard. If you're not competent, you'll be required to remediate or to make a correction. That simply means that you have not met the requirements of that particular unit standard. You haven't met the specific outcome. But worry not, if that happens, you will be given another chance to correct those mistakes. And still, if you didn't make it, we give you the third chance again. And still, if you don't make it, that's when we are going to call a parents meeting. So you have a very serious meeting with your facilitator and your parents to talk about your performance. So your parents here will be referring to your employer. So there's no degree of competence. So that simply means that in most of the assignments that you will be required to complete, there won't be marks allocated to that. So because we are only checking if you have managed to grasp or understood the concept. How are you going to be assessed? So the assessment guides, they already been developed against each and every unit standard. Assessment will also occur in the workplace. Remember, I said it's subdivided into two, theoretical learning and practical or the workplace learning. So it also occurs in the workplace. So your immediate supervisor or your manager is the one who is going to assess you performing those tasks that your facilitator will ask you to do in the workplace, and you'll be required to submit evidence of what you have done in your workplace. Simulated work or the actual work produced during the course of the normal working day. It can either be the client proposal, the projects, or whatsoever that can be part of your evidence. So work that can be attributed to you, as well as the evaluation of portfolio of evidence. I will explain to you what the portfolio of evidence is in my next slide. The methods of collecting evidence, they include the following. It can either be observation, written tests, oral test or questioning, simulation or role play or case study, the reports, as well as the portfolio of evidence or the POE. So all these, they formulate what we call the unit standard range that I was explaining earlier on. So this is how you will be required to collect the evidence for each and every assignment that will be given to you. The implementation of activities, the responsibilities of your workplace mentor, guide, your supervisor, immediate manager, or whoever whom you report to, is to provide you with the necessary support that you need during the learning intervention, to coach you and provide advice, as well as provide you with counseling. The learning intervention communication channels. So we have you as a learner, You can communicate to the learnership administrator, which will be based in your company. You can communicate with the mentor, which will be your immediate supervisor. You can communicate with our assessors in our side. Sorry about that. All those three, they will have to report to the learnership coordinator, who will then communicate with the relevant EQTA body. So at Sakhisisizwe, we will provide you with ongoing monitoring as well as reporting, and also to set up the project learnership.
Mpho, you're muted again.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
I wonder what's happening with my devices. Okay, no problems, not a problem. What is the portfolio of evidence, or the POE? So this will be the file containing evidence or the proof of your competence on the qualification that you have enrolled in. So it will contain all your evidence and activities, as well as the results of your assessment. So remember, I said you have access to this result. So you are the first person or the recipient of the results of your assessment. So as Sakhisisizwe, we are going to assist you in compiling evidence and putting it together in a portfolio. So at the end of the program, only 25% sample will be taken from the group's POEs to be moderated. So the evidence that you will be required to submit has to be valid. So it has to focus on the requirements of the standard, or requirements of the unit standard. So you only answer what has been asked. Authentic. So the assessor or whoever's marking your assignments has to be satisfied with the evidence that you had submitted, which means you have to submit satisfactory evidence. Reliable. Are you able to repeat the same thing over and over again? So competent performance can be repeated consistently over a period of time. So you will see this by when you are completing your assignments. You find that one question has been asked either 2 or 3 times. So we want to check your reliability. The current, support and demonstrate your current competence. So for example, if they said you have to conduct a meeting after today. So today is the 23rd. So you also have to bring evidence that you have conducted a meeting. For example, in your minutes of the meeting, we're going to check the date when the meeting had taken place. So if your meeting has took place on the 20th, which means the evidence that you have submitted is not current. So any date from the 24th going forward, that will be what we are looking for. Consistency. So the same assessor will make the same judgment again in a similar circumstances. So the evidence that you submit is subdivided into 2. We have direct evidence as well as indirect evidence. So the direct evidence focuses on what do you do, your position in your organization. So you have to demonstrate through understanding the steps that you have to follow. For example, if you work for finance department, so the procedures in the finance department, they are not the same procedures that is being used in the in the training department. So they will be totally be different. So we focus on what do you do and how do you do it. So you must show us that you understand the processes and the procedures and the tools that they have to be used or that are used in your organization to perform that particular task or activities. And lastly, why do you do it? So here to demonstrate understanding of the implications of not doing what you're supposed to do or doing it in a right way. And lastly, the other type of evidence, we have indirect evidence. So indirect evidence is anything that supplements or that supports your direct evidence. For example, if the question says, how does your company deal with latecomers at work? So someone can say they will be given a final warning or a written warning or verbal warning. So as part of your indirect evidence, you can attach either your code of conduct or your workplace policy to say, according to section 3B, it says that here it is as annexure A, says that if you constantly come late at work, you will be penalized. In each evidence unit, each and evidence unit standard, so there are various assessment tasks. So these are the assignments that you will be required to complete, which are subdivided into 4. We have the formative assessments. So the formative assessments, they will be completed the very same day that you'll be required to attend the session. So this is why that we encourage you not to miss any of the session, because if you miss it, it will be difficult, very difficult for you to complete these assessments because they are an ongoing assessment. And the summative or the knowledge assessment, so like the word itself, summative, so this will complete them after completing each unit standard. So the formative is subdivided into sections. For example, if your unit standard is composed of 4 sections, you find that you have 4 formative assessments. So after each section, there's a formative assessment assigned to that particular section. But the summative, you write it after. So it's just like a test. So you write it after you have completed the whole unit standard. The collection of workplace evidence, like I said earlier in my presentation, that this carries more than 70%. So this is what you will be required to do or to complete in your workplace with the help of your supervisor or your manager or whoever whom you report to. So this is very, very important. And lastly, we have reflection. So reflection is all about what are you going to do differently after you had obtained or after you have learned whatever that you have studied on that particular day. Very importantly, if you complete formative assessments and workplace assessments and reflection, you didn't complete the summative assessment, so that simply means that you will be deemed not yet competent. If you didn't complete workplace, you will also be deemed not yet competent. If you didn't complete the reflection, you also be deemed not yet competent. So make sure that you complete all your assignments or everything that you'll be given by your facilitator to complete. Our communication channels as follows. So those are my details on the screen there. So you can still use the details that you got from David. So if you need anything, you can either contact me or you contact David. So that's my email there. You can send me an SMS, you can send me a WhatsApp. Preferably, I don't prefer someone to call me, simply because I might be in a meeting and I will not be able to return those calls. Like now I'm here in this meeting conducting this section. My phone is ringing here non-stop, so I won't be able to call back each of all those numbers. So preferably you drop me a WhatsApp message, and as soon as I get a chance, I will give you feedback. So we'll also meet during progress meeting or during classes. Lastly, or in conclusion, I can say, seize the opportunity that you were given and use your time wisely. Any questions based on my presentation? Silence means confused.
Now everything was explained perfectly.
All right, thank you.
No questions on my side.
Thank you. David, since there are no questions, I will hand over back to you. You're muted, Dave. David? Is still muted, just bear with him. He's struggling with the connection.
Thank you very, very much to Mpho for the brilliant induction. I hope that everyone has understood, and yes, it's a lot of information, we know, but it's definitely important to realize how powerful this learnership is. And you can see the way that the seat is structured, and how Mpho expressed it. It is a very powerful qualification to have in your arsenal. So definitely don't take it for granted. And we're very, very excited to engage this with you. We really are, and we hope that you're excited as well. A large part of learning is motivation, and we want you to be motivated. We want you to feel supported. We want you to be on the same page as us. So thank you very much, everyone, for joining. We will be in contact with you and your mentors, etc., over the coming few days with details about when training will be and the whole process of how it will work. So thank you very much, everyone, for joining. And enjoy the rest of your day, the rest of your week. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, bye.